is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
First Lady Liza Marcos should speak about the president's alleged involvement in illegal drugs. This is former presidential spokesperson Atty. Harry Roque's persisting call, especially after Liza Marcos mentioned two vloggers in an interview without mentioning the president's alleged drug use. For Roque, the public has the right to know if the president is in his right mind as he continues to push the country to engage in a conflict with China. The Philippine National Police was told to keep mum on the recent updates on the tons of shabu nabbed in a Batangas checkpoint. This raised further questions, particularly the driver suspect who is allegedly an ex-US soldier. Our Filipino fisher folks are lamenting the rivalry at sea. This greatly affects their livelihood. They lamented their problems at Scarborough, saying that it is not the Chinese but Vietnamese fisher folks stealing their catch. In other news, South Korea bids farewell to its old military assets. The military will retire its fighter jet, missiles, and other weapons and equipment after decades long of service. And Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi arrives in Pakistan for talks amid escalating tensions in the Middle East. I am Franco Baranda, and you're watching Newsline World. Atty. Harry Roque is now concerned about the possible effects of labeling the Chinese as the country's enemies. Valdivina Gracia reports.
Some government agencies are currently pushing for an investigation into the sudden increase of Chinese students in the province of Cagayan. The purpose? To determine whether these individuals are actually students or if they pose a threat to national security. But for former presidential spokesperson Atty. Harry Roque, the government's push for this matter is considered an alarming move.
Isipin na lang po natin kapag tayo nagpatuloy sa ganitong polisiya, 11 million Filipinos ang nagtatrabaho dahil wala nga tayong sapat na trabaho dito sa Pilipinas. Pag gumanti ang China at sinabi rin nila na turing natin kalaban ng mga Pilipino, anong mangyayari sa mga Pilipino na nasa Hong Kong, nasa China, nasa Taiwan, nasa Macau, at sa iba't ibang parte pa ng daigdig?
Roque also pointed out that the current government is inciting Filipinos to be angry at the Chinese.
Wala pong pagkakaiba ngayon ang ginagawa natin paghihimok na magalit sa mga Chino sa nangyari doon sa mga Hudyo sa Germany na hinimok ng mga kanilang gobyerno na dapat ay kasuklaman, kagalitan at dapat mapatay. Hindi po yan kabahagi ng asal Pilipino. Ang asal po talaga natin, tayo po ay hospitable sa ating mga nagbibisita.
Roque believes that the amplification of this issue is part of the government's policy to divert the attention of the Filipino people from the country's real problems. The former palace spokesman also believes that the recent Chinese students are coming to the Philippines is to improve their English language skills, which they can utilize in business. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, this is Valdivina Gracia, SMNI News.
Meanwhile, top officials from the United Nations warned the Security Council that some 800,000 people in one Sudanese city are in extreme and immediate danger as violent clashes in the North African country entered its 1 year. Gratero Omori has the story.
UN Political Affairs Chief Rosemary DiCarlo told the 15-member Security Council that violent clashes between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary rapid support forces were nearing El Fasher, the capital of North Darfur. DiCarlo warned the fighting in El Fasher could unleash bloody intercommunal strife throughout the Sudanese region. UN Aid Operations Director Eddie Musurno echoed DiCarlo's sentiments, stating that the violence poses an extreme and immediate danger to 800,000 civilians who reside in El Fasher. Both UN officials made the warning days after Secretary General Antonio Guterres marked the first anniversary of the civil war that erupted on April 15, 2023, with millions facing acute hunger and the terrifying threat of famine looming in the North African country in the coming months.
and the world is forgetting about the people of Sudan. Today marks an heartbreaking milestone, 1 year since the start of fighting between the Sudanese armed forces and the Rapid Support Forces. And this is more than a conflict between two warring parties. It is a war being waged on the Sudanese people. It is a war on the many thousands of civilians who have been killed and tens of thousands maimed for life. It is a war on the 18 million people facing acute hunger and the communities now stancing down the terrifying threat of famine in the months ahead.
Just a few weeks earlier, the UN made a grim revelation stating that Sudan is on track to become the world's worst hunger crisis. The international agency also said that nearly 25 million people, or half of Sudan's population, need aid and some 8 million have fled their homes. Meanwhile, American senators wrote an open letter to U.S. President Joe Biden last week, demanding that Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces and its leader General Mohammed Hamdan Hemedti Dagalo be recognized as violators of human rights. The American senators gave Biden 120 days to act on the request. Reporting from Dubai, I'm Gratero Omori, your global citizen correspondent for SMNI News Channel.
The president of Iran arrived in neighboring Pakistan for a 3-day diplomatic visit in the wake of heightened tensions in the Middle East. Melchizedek Cadiz reports.
Assalamu alaikum. Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi visited Pakistan just a few months after both nations exchanged cross-border strikes in January. Raisi's 3-day trip to Pakistan started on Monday. The Iranian leader held talks with Pakistani leader Shehbaz Sharif in the capital Islamabad. This is the first time both leaders met since the two neighboring nations exchanged cross-border strikes in January, which killed 9 civilians in Iran and 2 in Pakistan. Both sides also witnessed the signing of memorandums of understanding in different fields. Raisi said he and his Pakistani counterpart agreed to improve relations in political, economic, commercial, and cultural fields. Both countries also acknowledged similar positions in fighting terrorism, drugs, and stronger border security, with many Iranian security forces subjected to terrorist attacks by Pakistan-based militants. The government of Pakistan deployed additional troops and security forces to ensure Raisi's safety amid increasing militant attacks in the region. A multi-billion gas pipeline project, which has been opposed by Washington and postponed since 2014, will also be discussed before Raisi ends his 3-day diplomatic tour. The Iranian leader said the bilateral visit is an opportunity to mend fractured ties between the two Muslim neighbors since the deadly cross-border strikes happened earlier this year. Reporting from Kuwait, I am Melchizedek Cadiz, your global citizen correspondent for God and for our beloved country, the Philippines.
The United Arab Emirates rejected claims about its alleged involvement in destabilizing Sudan as conflict in the North African country enters 1 year. Gratero Omori reports.
The UAE submitted a letter to the United Nations Security Council to oppose reports of its alleged involvement in the ongoing civil war in Sudan. In a letter sent by Mohammed Abu Shahab, UAE ambassador and permanent representative of the UAE to the United Nations, the Emirati envoy slammed the allegations made by the permanent representative of Sudan as baseless and an attempt to divert attention from the conflict. Abu Shahab added that all allegations regarding the UAE's involvement in any form of aggression or destabilization in Sudan, including the provision of any military, financial, or political support to any faction in the North African country, are unfounded and lack any credible evidence. The accusations were made by the permanent representative of Sudan during a meeting on the Security Council on April 19, 2024. Fighting between the Sudanese armed forces and the paramilitary rapid support forces erupted on April 15, 2023, which killed more than 14,000 people and displaced 8 million others after 1 year of violent clashes. A leaked UN report in January 2024 claimed evidence suggesting the UAE has provided weapons to the paramilitary group. The UAE denied the allegations, stating it has consistently called for de-escalation and sustainable ceasefire and diplomatic dialogue in Sudan. Reporting from Dubai, I'm Gratero Omori, your global citizen correspondent for SMNI News Channel.
Up next, Former presidential spokesperson Attorney Harry Roque took a jab at First Lady Liza Marcos. For Roque, the First Lady should instead speak up about the alleged drug use of President Bongbong Marcos instead of talking about Vice President Sara Duterte. And the Philippine National Police was told to keep mum on the recent updates on the tons of shabu nabbed in Batangas checkpoint. This raised further questions, particularly the driver suspect who is allegedly an ex-US soldier. These and more after the break.
Magandang umaga Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. Maayong buntag mga kapartner. Magandang araw sa buong mundo.
Magandang araw Pilipinas. Ito ang Pulso ng Bayan.
Hihimayin ang mga pangunahing issue sa ating bayan. Susuriin ang mga kinakailangang malaman ng taong bayan. Aalamin ang pulso ng bawat Pilipino sa mga pangyayari sa ating lipunan. Pulso ng Bayan, alas 7 hanggang alas 9 ng umaga, tuwing Lunes hanggang Biyernes. Kasama ang spokes ng Bayan, Attorney Harry Roque, Admar Vilando at Jade Calabroso. Dito lang sa SMNI. Problema nyo, itawag kay Panelo. Ikaw ba'y may suliranin na may kinalaman sa mga ahensya ng ating pamahalaan? Inihahandog ng SMNI ang programang makakapiling ninyo sa araw-araw na maaring ninyong maging daingan. Tampok ang dating Chief Legal Counsel ng nakaraang Pangulo, ang veteranong abogado na si Attorney Salvador Sal Panelo.
Bishops.
Tulong at payo tagapamagitan sa ating mga lingkod bayan. Problema nyo, itawag kay Panelo. Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 9 hanggang alas 10 ng umaga. Dito lamang sa SMNI. Ang totoong boses ng bayan.
Welcome to SMNI. You're watching Business and Politics. I'm Dante Klinkang.
Today's world can be described by the acronym VUCA, which stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And yet, being immobilized by fear is not an option. How will captains of industry navigate the course ahead? And what policy assistance will they get from the leaders in government? Watch SMNI as it tackles these and other important questions of the day. On Business and Politics, hosted by Dante Klinkang II, Chairman and CEO of the Manila Times. New episodes featuring corporate and political leaders air every Saturday. Prime time at 7 p.m. Only here on SMNI. Truth that matters.
Abangan ang Banateros tuwing Martes at Huwebes. Live dito lang sa SMNI.
Yan ang Banateros, walang inuurungan. Pag tama palakpakan, pag mali ay babanatan. Yan ang
Back in our news, Attorney Harry Roque reacted to First Lady Liza Marcos' statement that Vice President Sara Duterte is a bad shot to her. According to Roque, the people do not care about her feelings. Roque also pointed out that the First Lady should instead address the President's alleged involvement in illegal drugs. Jane Cognita has the details.
Wala po kaming pakialam kung anong saloobin ninyo kay BP Sara dahil hindi naman namin kayo binoto.
This is the reaction of former presidential spokesperson Attorney Harry Roque to Liza Marcos' statement with broadcaster Anthony Taberna recently. In that interview, Liza Marcos didn't hide her dislike toward VP Sara, labeling her as a bad shot. Other than the vice president, Liza also mentioned several critics of the Marcos administration, including two vloggers, Maharlika and foreign relations scholar Sas Rogando Sasot. Recently, Maharlika disclosed documents implicating that Marcos Jr. was included in the pre-operation report of the PDEA, which was later denied by the agency. Roque pointed out that even though Liza mentioned Maharlika, she didn't say anything about the call for a drug test.
Nagtataka ako na bagamat binanggit niya si Maharlika at saka galit na galit siya dun sa binansagan ng bangagang kanyang asawa, wala siyang sinabi tungkol sa drug test. Alam naman natin, abogado rin si First Lady Lam at sa ebidensya, talagang ang pruweba na hindi gumagamit ng droga ang presidente ay sa paggamit ng siyensya.
Roque also has a question to First Lady Marcos.
Yung ibinoto namin, nasa tama ba siyang pag-iisip na gumawa ng desisyon gaya ng makipaggera sa ating karatig bansa na China?
In the end, Roque is glad that the interview with Liza didn't overshadow the real issues facing the Philippines, including the rising prices of goods and services, access to affordable food, and the demand to increase the wage of workers. This has been Jane Cognita, your citizen correspondent, reporting for God and my beloved country, the Philippines.
Amid personal issues between First Lady Liza Marcos and Vice President Sara Duterte, President Bongbong Marcos said his working relationship with Vice President will not be affected. Here's Creselyn Catarong's report.
President Bongbong Marcos will be having a discussion with Vice President and Education Secretary Sara Duterte to talk about important matters. Marcos mentioned this on the sidelines of a town hall consultation with farmers and fishermen in Occidental Mindoro on Tuesday. He stated that his working relationship with VP Sara will not be affected by the personal issues between him and First Lady Liza Marcos. Also, the chief executive declared that everything remains fine between him and the vice president. He also defended her over some calls to resign from his cabinet and emphasized that VP Sara Duterte will remain as Education Secretary. According to PBBM, cabinet members will only be removed from their positions if they are incompetent or corrupt.
Pag hindi na kaya, nagkasakit, sabihin mo na, o di papalitan ka namin. O hindi talaga marunong, o corrupt, di ba? Tatanggalin ka talaga namin. Hindi naman ganun si Inday. Hindi ganun si Inday, Sara.
For God and for my beloved Philippines, this has been Creselyn Catarong, SMNI News.
In other news, the Philippine National Police will no longer speak regarding the investigation they are conducting after authorities seized more than a ton of shabu in Batangas last week. According to PNP, they have been ordered to keep mum to avoid compromising their ongoing pursuit. Here's the report by Paul Montibon.
The Philippine National Police has apologized as it seems that the public will not be able to get any information about the huge bulk of illegal drugs nabbed in Batangas last week. The PNP explained that they were prohibited from releasing information during their case build-up. To this day, many still wonder how the illegal drugs were acquired, and it seems that surveillance process is also lacking. Authorities seem to be singing the same tune, and now it's a deafening silence.
I really cannot give specifics because I'm under strict instruction not to give any more details. Yan na rin po ang utos po kasi ng mga prosecutor for us to refrain from giving too much information so as not to, again, compromise the ongoing case build-up.
To recall, even the President Bongbong Marcos requested that they will not be giving any information yet regarding the sudden emergence of the said drugs.
Before you start asking questions, I'll warn you, he cannot talk about operational details. Kaya pag bigla kaming sasabat at sasabihin namin wag siyang sasagot, that's because it's still ongoing.
Earlier reports indicated that there might be multiple suspects involved in the drug seizure, prompting the PNP to form a special investigation task group to quickly identify other possible suspects and find out the true source of the contraband.
And this is the primary reason why we were requested by prosecutor and case not to divulge too much information, because we are on the process of conducting case build-up po to establish po the ownership ng yacht, yung pong ownership po ng mga vehicle, ng mga subject vehicles po natin.
On the other hand, renowned political vlogger Hans Trogado Sasot disagreed with the authorities' decision to keep silent, especially regarding the status of the driver suspect, Al Michael Zarate. Al was the last to drive the Fountain van carrying more than a ton of shabu, allegedly from a yacht in Nasugbu, Batangas. Sasot questioned as to why neither the suspect's life nor his political affiliations are being considered in determining the mastermind behind the drug haul. The disappointment about the sudden emergence of these illegal drugs now in Batangas is heard not only from the Sasot but also from many of the fellow countrymen in social media. Many are doubting that the operation, while others think it's just a cover-up the government's failure in various issues. According to the latest information provided by the PNP, Zarate is an ex-soldier of the United States. He left the Philippines when he was only 8 years old and joined the U.S. Army in 1997. Zarate left the U.S. Army in 2005 and returned to the Philippines in 2008. He then established a fitness center in Manila and had a lot of prominent individuals as clients. For God of My Country, the Philippines, reporting Paul Montibon, SMNI News.
The Manila International Airport Authority, or MIA, has ordered the temporary closure of the Terminal 3 parking extension of NAIA. This comes after 19 vehicles caught fire in the area. According to MIA, it can only resume operations under certain conditions provided by the parking lot concessionaire. Angel Pastor has the details.
The Bureau of Fire Protection continues to investigate the cause of the fire at the Terminal 3 parking extension of Ninoy Aquino International Airport, or NAIA, on Monday. However, the Manila International Airport Authority is still hoping to gather additional information from the fire department regarding the cause of the blaze, which torched 19 vehicles. According to MIAA spokesperson Attorney Chris Bendijo, the parking lot has been temporarily closed and it can only operate again if Philippine Skylanders International, or PSI, complies with the conditions set by MIAA. PSI owns the burnt parking extension at NAIA Terminal 3.
The GM has given specific instructions na they cannot operate until matanggal lahat ng grass dyan and ma-cover nila ng crushed rock tsaka gravel. No?
Currently, they have stationed a fire truck near the parking areas of NAIA to prevent such incidents from happening again. MIAA also reminds vehicle owners who park at NAIA terminals, especially during the current hot weather, to refrain from leaving flammable or easily combustible items inside their vehicles.
Our general manager also gave specific instructions sa ating security to all parking facilities that is within NAIA, no? To remind ang ating mga vehicle owners not to leave mga flammables, no? Mga alcohols, alcohols, and even lighters sa ating mga sasakyan, just to make sure na maiwasan ang ganitong scenario, because we are all aware naman, medyo talagang kakaiba din yung heat index natin. No?
Out of the 19 vehicles raised in the fire, only 7 individuals have so far identified themselves as owners of some of the damaged vehicles. MIAA and PSI are urging other owners to come forward and identify themselves to fast-track the ongoing investigation. PSI previously pledged to take responsibility for the damaged vehicles. It currently has a lease contract with MIAA as the concessionaire of the parking extension area at NAIA Terminal 3. For God of My Beloved Philippines, Angel Pastor, SMNI News.
Up next, Filipino fisher folks are lamenting the rivalry at sea. This greatly affects their livelihood. They lamented their problems at Scarborough, saying that it is not the Chinese, but Vietnamese fisher folks stealing their catch. And in other news, South Korea bids farewell to its old military assets. The military will retire its fighter jet, missiles, and other weapons and equipments after decades long of service. More news when Newsline World returns.
Kung akong tatanungin, kahit saang aspeto, gusto ko garantisado. Metikuloso akong tao, kaya gusto ko lahat maayos at sigurado. Lahat quality, yung hindi ako makukompromiso, pero sulit ang presyo. Ganyan ang clean fuel, kaya dito, panatag ang loob ko.
Magandang umaga po, sir. Full tank po.
Full tank. Ng dekalidad na gasolina pero sulit ang halaga, mag-clean fuel ka.
Problema nyo, itawag kay Panelo. Ikaw ba'y may suliranin na may kinalaman sa mga ahensya ng ating pamahalaan? Inihahandog ng SMNI ang programang makakapiling ninyo sa araw-araw na maaring ninyong maging daingan. Tampok ang dating Chief Legal Counsel ng nakaraang Pangulo, ang veteranong abogado na si Attorney Salvador Sal Panelo.
Bishops.
Tulong at payo tagapamagitan sa ating mga lingkod bayan. Problema nyo, itawag kay Panelo. Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 9 hanggang alas 10 ng umaga. Dito lamang sa SMNI. Ang totoong boses ng bayan.
Welcome to SMNI. You're watching Business and Politics. I'm Dante Klinkang.
Today's world can be described by the acronym VUCA, which stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And yet, being immobilized by fear is not an option. How will captains of industry navigate the course ahead? And what policy assistance will they get from the leaders in government? Watch SMNI as it tackles these and other important questions of the day. On Business and Politics, hosted by Dante Klinkang II, Chairman and CEO of the Manila Times. New episodes featuring corporate and political leaders air every Saturday. Prime time at 7 p.m. Only here on SMNI. Truth that matters.
Filipino fisher folks lamented the current problems that they are facing at the sea. Meanwhile, Senator Cynthia Villar said she has no other wish for the Philippines but peace. So it is only right not to escalate the problem with China to avoid war. Almar Forsuelo reports.
A leader of Fishermen's Association stated that Vietnamese, not just Chinese, are the current problem for Filipino fishermen. In a media interview with Fausto Kakuto Alpay, chairman of the Subic Commercial Association, he mentioned that most of the fishermen at Scarborough Shoal are Vietnamese. Kakuto said that during their last visit to Scarborough Shoal, they observed around 50 Vietnamese fishermen in the area.
Ang kalaban po dyan ngayon, yung mga Vietnamese na nagsisipag-ilaw. Yan po ang marami dyan ngayon. Kaya po nung minsan lumaot yung bangka ko doon ay kakaunti na nahuli. Dito sila nakahuli sa malapit dahil nasa 50 Vietnamese ang nandun sa palibot na Scarborough.
The problem is that the Vietnamese are allegedly taking their catch.
Ang ano po ng mga Vietnamese, lahat ng mga makikita nila mga payaw, siyempre po mga high-tech yung kanilang mga gamit. Alam nila kung alin payaw ang maraming laman.
Sir, paano nyo nalang nasabi na mga Vietnamese yung sinasabi nyo nagpapailaw? Paano nyo nasabi?
Wala naman sila ma'am na bangka na kagaya ng bangka namin na may kinatigan. Lahat po sila mga lansya. Saka makikita mo naman po sa banner, sa flag.
However, Kakuto admitted that last year, it was the Chinese who cut their fishing lines.
Dito pong mga, hindi naman 2023, bago mga buwan po yata yun ng mga October o November, may ini-award sa asosasyon na isang payaw. Sa kagustuhan ko po na matulungan ko rin yung mga membro ko ng mga hook in line, nag-request sila sa akin na doon ko raw ihulog sa Scarborough. Ay hindi pa naman po namin naanihan, piyutol na nga po.
Meanwhile, to protect the fishermen, Senator Cynthia Villar has advised for the authorities.
Ever since matagal na akong chairman ng Senate Committee on Agriculture and Food, alam ko na ang nagbabantay sa mga aming isda ay BIFAR. Kasi pag BIFAR, parang hindi militarized, di ba?
The senator added that it is indeed part of BFAR's mandate to watch over and protect the fishermen.
Natural naman sa Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources na alagaan nila yung mga fishermen. Alam nilang may danger sa West Philippine Sea. Kung magka-problema sila, nandun sila para tumulong.
Senator Villar then urged the current administration not to escalate tensions with China and that it is better to discuss and find common ground between both nations to avoid affecting fisherfolks.
Hindi dapat palakihin yung problema kasi gusto ba natin makipag-away talaga sa China? We're not in a position to fight with China. They have to find a common ground dyan. Kasi ako, ang concern ko yung mga fishermen. Kasi mahihirap yan eh. Yan lang ang hanap buhay nila. Pag nag-away sila, affected yan. Diba? Kawawa yan. Diba?
Senator Villar emphasized that she has no other wish for the country but peace.
Ako, wala namang masama na we don't quarrel with China and we don't quarrel with the US. Diba? Hindi. Ako, I am for peace in the Philippines. Kasi talagang mahirap pag may nag-aaway sa isang bansa.
For God and my beloved Philippines, Almar Forzuelo, SMNI News.
Poland says it is ready to allow NATO allies to deploy nuclear weapons in its territory as Russia reinforces its armament in Belarus and Kaliningrad. Val Divinagracia reports.
Polish President Andrzej Duda made the remark during his recent travel to New York, where he met Republican 2024 candidate Donald Trump and spoke fondly of his encounter with the former U.S. president. Duda also met U.S. President Joe Biden when he traveled to Washington in March. The Polish leader pointed out that Poland and the United States have been discussing nuclear cooperation for some time now. According to the Polish president, his country will not hesitate to deploy nuclear arms in its territory to reinforce NATO's eastern flank as part of Poland's nuclear sharing arrangement with the world's largest military alliance. Duda said that Russia has already taken similar steps after it transferred tactical nuclear weapons to its neighbor and close ally Belarus last year. Poland, a staunch supporter of Ukraine, shares a border with Russia's close ally Belarus and the Kaliningrad exclave, a home to Russia's Baltic Fleet. Reporting for Newsline World, this is Val Divinagracia, SMNI News.
Two of South Korea's military assets that once served as strategic weapons against North Korea's missiles bid farewell after decades of service. Shallow Lee reports.
South Korea's F-4E Phantom fighter jets and its iconic Popeye missiles made their final performance before their official retirement. The military revealed recently that the Phantom fighter jets completed its live fire exercises last week. The Phantoms will officially retire on the 7th of June after 55 years of service. The fighter jets played a strategic role in boosting the country's air defense against North Korea. Also retiring from service is the AGM-142 Popeye missile, which accompanied the Phantom fighter jets for the live firing exercises last week. The iconic missile was first introduced into the Republic of Korea Air Force in 2002, where it served as a strategic weapon for precision strikes until the introduction of a more advanced cruise missile in 2007. As South Korea reassesses its military assets, the country also hosted an annual conference of South Korean overseas diplomatic mission chiefs attended by more than 180 ambassadors, consul generals, and other heads of diplomatic missions in foreign countries worldwide. The week-long event started on Monday and will run until Friday. Reporting from South Korea, this is Shalu Lee, your global citizen correspondent for God and our beloved country, the Philippines.
The Department of Agriculture is currently planning to establish a 10-day buffer stock of various agricultural commodities aimed at lowering their prices in the market. But some agri-group are concerned about the potential challenges in its implementation. Sheena Torno has the details.
The relentless surge in the prices of basic commodities such as rice, meat, and others continues to burden the public. This is also why many Filipinos are looking to find cheaper alternatives. According to the latest survey conducted by Octa Research in March, 66% of Filipinos believe that the government should address the reasons behind the higher prices of goods in the Philippines. This was also echoed by economist Dr. Michael Batu.
Ang isa lang ibig sabihin niya, Admar, yung paglago ng ekonomiya ay hindi nararamdaman ng ordinaryong mga mamamayan. I really don't see it kasi nakikita natin na yung inflation natin, particularly sa rice inflation natin, has been on a 15-year high.
As a result, the Agriculture Department has proposed the National Price Coordinating Council to establish a 10-day buffer stock of various agri-commodities. This initiative stems from the shortage of agriculture products affecting market prices. Under Section 9 of the Price Act or Republic Act number 7581, the DA has the authority to import, purchase locally, or import products in times of need. However, DA Assistant Secretary and spokesperson Arnel De Bese clarified that the agency is still studying the matter.
Ongoing ngayon yung review ng implementing rules and regulations ng Price Act. At ano pa lang yan, nasa pag-aaral pa lang. Maiwasan ng price manipulation, maiwasan yung sobrang pagmahal ng presyo ng mga bilihin. Kasi wala kasing way na mag-intervene ang department sa market.
The Department of Agriculture may utilize cold storage facilities it has built to store various products such as rice, corn, pork, onions, sugar, and fertilizer. The MESA added that it cannot be determined yet when the implementing rules and regulations or IRR regarding this matter will be completed. While DA's intention is commendable, the Philippine Chamber of Agriculture and Food Incorporated or PCAFI insists that the implementation should be properly ensured.
What is the capacity of the government to do that? The money that is involved and how it will be implemented sa downside sa ano. Kasi, well, we have learned the lessons of NFA on rice. We have learned the lessons of Kadiwa during the onions. Lahat sila na habla eh. So, yung proseso lang ang government procedure should be parang irrationalize para mas madali ang implementation at protektado naman yung mga empleyado ng DA.
The Federation of Fee Farmers or FFF is concerned that these stocks may just end up rotting and not be utilized.
It takes a lot of preparation kasi okay lang yung sa palay kasi nandiyan ang NFA, no? Pero for other commodities, saan mo ilalagay yung buffer stock? Sino ang mag-handle niyan para hindi masira, no? And then, what is the manner of disposal? Kunyari, walang emergency situation para ilabas mo yung buffer stock. How do you dispose of it and replenish it? Makakuan siya, mabusisi rin yan, and baka mabulukan yung Department of Agriculture.
For God and for my beloved Philippines, this has been Sheena Torno, SMNI News.
Up next, Hong Kong has implemented its single-use plastics ban in a bid to curb pollution. Newsline World will be back after the break. Thailand offered to broker peace talks between the military junta and ethnic rebel groups in Myanmar after the latest wave of fighting forced thousands to flee from their homes. Chatmongkong Pisamay-Goso reports.
Thailand is ready to play the role of the mediator and advocate for a peaceful resolution in Myanmar. The Prime Minister's Secretary General Dr. Prominra Suridet said that apart from organizing peace talks, Thailand is also ready to provide humanitarian aid to its neighboring country. The government has assigned Thai officials to inspect the Thai-Myanmar border on behalf of the Prime Minister. Skirmishes between Myanmar's armed forces and ethnic rebel groups erupted anew on Saturday after ethnic rebel groups targeted stranded junta troops seeking refuge on the Thai-Myanmar border. Military forces were forced to withdraw and surrender their weapons after ethnic rebel groups seized control of Myawaddy earlier this month. Myawaddy, a vital trade hub situated near Thailand's border, is economically and strategically important to Myanmar's military junta. Around 3,000 Myanmar nationals fled to Thailand's Meso district of Tak after clashes erupted anew this past weekend. Thailand's Foreign Affairs Ministry is expected to initiate steps for organizing peace talks in Myanmar. Reporting from Thailand, I'm Chatmongkong Pisamay-Goso, your Global Citizens correspondent for SMN News Channel.
Cambodia warmly received China's top diplomat as he arrived in the country for a 3-day diplomatic visit. Renju Marikilio has the story.
Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi was granted a royal audience and held separate meetings with high-ranking leaders in Cambodia during a brief visit to the Southeast Asian country. China will always be Cambodia's most trustworthy partner and strongest supporter. This was what Wang Yi told Cambodian King Norodom Sihamoni during their meeting in the capital Phnom Penh. In response, the king expressed his appreciation for China's selfless support and assistance in Cambodia's economic and social development, including the ambitious Belt and Road Initiative, which transformed the Southeast Asian countries' roads and skylines in the past 10 years. The Chinese foreign minister also met his Cambodian counterpart, Sok Chendazovia. Wang Yi assured that no matter how the international situation has changed, China will always be Cambodia's most reliable friend and strongest supporter of its development. Part of the trip was separate meetings with Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet and his father, former Prime Minister Hun Sen. Wang Yi's visit was part of a three-nations regional tour which involved Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, and Cambodia as the last stop. His trip was linked to the two big Chinese-funded projects in Cambodia, a planned canal and a naval base. Former Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen previously described China as Cambodia's most trustworthy friend and forged strong ties with the world's second-largest economy. His son, current Prime Minister Hun Manet, is following his footsteps. Reporting from Singapore, I'm Renju Marikilio, your Global Citizen correspondent for God and our beloved country, the Philippines.
Hong Kong has taken a significant step toward environmental sustainability by enforcing a ban on select single-use plastics and styrofoam. The ban, which commenced on Earth Day, includes items like cotton buds and balloon sticks, aiming to reduce waste pollution and promote greener practices. Banning single-use plastics is part of Hong Kong's Product Eco-Responsibility Amendment Bill 2023, which reflects the region's commitment to combating plastic pollution. The first 6 months following the ban's rollout will be an adaptation period in which the government will not take enforcement action on businesses that have yet to follow the new rule. The government of Hong Kong said it will launch a promotion and education this April and will send inspectors to check around restaurants, hotels, and retail stores. Reports say local businesses, including restaurants, are swiftly adapting to the new regulations, offering alternatives like rent and return cups instead of styrofoam containers. Meanwhile, the second phase of the ban will take place in 2025. That year, the ban will extend to items like multi-pack rings and plastic stamped dental floss. These measures align with Hong Kong's goal of reducing the 21% of waste comprised of plastics based on a 2023 report. The war of words between Elon Musk and Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese depend after an Australian court ordered social media platform X to remove videos of the brutal stabbing of a bishop at a church in Sydney last week. Risha Molina has the story.
The chaos that gripped Sydney took a new turn after videos of a violent stabbing incident inside a local church in the Sydney suburb of Wakeley sparked a censorship debate between the Australian government and Elon Musk. The brutal stabbing of Bishop Mary Emanuel by a 16-year-old teenager last week sparked protests from angry church members and went viral on social media. On Monday evening, the Australian Federal Court ordered Elon Musk to remove videos of the stabbing incident from his social media platform X. The Australian government labeled the incident as a terrorist attack. The court granted the East Safety Commissioner, Australia's independent regulator for online safety, a 2-day injunction requiring Musk's social media platform to heed the request. However, a barrister from the cyber regulator said that the X platform had geo-blocked the posts containing the video, meaning Australians could not access them. However, the video is still available for global users outside Australia, including those Australians who used a virtual private network or VPN connection that made their IP address appear they are outside the country. The E-Safety Commissioner argued that footage of the violent stabbing video must be hidden, not just from Australians, but also from all global users. Musk's company raised free speech and jurisdictional concerns over the takedown order and branded the move by Australia's independent regulator as an unlawful and dangerous approach. Meanwhile, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese called Musk an arrogant billionaire for refusing the Australian government's calls to take down the content. He also slammed the billionaire for choosing ego and showing violence over common sense after the ex-owner accused Australia of censorship. Musk responded to Albanese, stating that no president, no prime minister or judge has authority over all of Earth, without naming anyone. The billionaire also argued he is not above the law, adding that the global takedown orders are improper and must be followed within the country of their jurisdiction. Reporting, this has been Trisha Molina, SMNI News.
And before we end, may be inspired with the words of the sun. The avenues of excellence are unlimited. And that's all for this edition. For more updates, you may visit smninewschannel.com or follow us on our official social media accounts on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, I am Franco Baranda, and this is Newsline World.
This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters. Subscribe to SMNI News Channel and turn on the notification bell to keep you up to date. Also visit our official social media accounts and join our community on Viber and Telegram.